All right, my demonstration this week is going to be turning this burl. I'm going to turn this burl into a hollow form, a negative space hollow form. And the one reason I picked this burl, that I like this burl so much, I've done several of these. I look for these. I call these burls drumsticks. You might want to hit the overhead camera. I call these drumsticks, and one thing that I really liked about this when I saw this is that it's got a hole here. So when you turn this sideways, you can see that there's going to be a gap there. So if I make a hollow form out of this and come around here, there's going to be a hole here where that gully is. It's got a branch here coming through it. A branch on this side is coming through it. So somehow these two branches came off this small. It was only a 2-inch tree, not even 2 inches. That's only about 1.5 inches. But this burl just grew around these. So this is Cherry. I picked this up from the Kalamazoo Woodturners raffle table for a raffle ticket. And he put it on this. This is probably the third one of these I've gotten from Dave that he doesn't know what to do with. So I really like working with these. So my biggest concern with starting this is how deep does this, I just broke off the end of that. How deep does this bark go? And I kind of glued the end back on there. But I cut this off to see how deep the bark here is still only, it's not that deep. So I thought, okay, because I wondered if I was going to be able to do this at all. So you never know with a burl what you're going to get. Then I was worried about having enough mass on the backside to support this vase, because there's going to be a hole here. I have this bark can't go too deep. I need to hit the sapwood somewhere's inside here to support the back of this vase. So looking at this, I really struggled with this. I almost wondered if I'd be able to do it at all, but I decided I'm going to be able to get enough room here to make my top up here. And then this will be the bottom. So that piece is gone. So I'll put my tenon on this end. The top is going to be here somewhere around that area. Let me see if I can break that off right where I want it. Yeah, that normally works. So there's my top. Looking in here, I can see that I do have some deep bark here. But hopefully down here, maybe down 1 inch or so, I will be able to get the top of the vessel. I don't know if I'll be able to do like a fluted vessel. It might just come up and close off and have a hole.
Joan?
Yeah?
I want to look at this.
Somebody, is there a question, or do we need to mute all the mics?
I don't want to get it.
No. This is a Cherry Burl.
Hit the mute all button on the thing. Mute all, first button.
What's he going to make out of it?
Yeah. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to center this in the middle of the best part of the wood here. And I'm going to come down here and do the same at the bottom.
Will you catch that, George, if it comes off? Yeah.
He's a brave soul.
No. Catch his chair. Is that a screw in the end of the top?
It's not a screw. It's I should have showed that before I put that on there.
Hey, Doug.
This is a drive. It's one of those drives, and I just put them in the chuck, you know. Somebody online said, "Hey, Doug."
Doug, they hit the wrong button. You need to ask to mute everybody.
Okay, we should be able to mute everybody there. Are you hitting the mute everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that got it.
Okay. So this is a spring drive. I like this. The center part is spring loaded. It's my favorite drive for almost everything, you know. I have the ones, you know, with the 4 prongs. I think I have almost every kind you can get. And this is my go-to drive. I like it because if it does spin on it, it doesn't dig a great big hole in the end. It just kind of spins on all them teeth, and I can just tighten it down and keep going. You know, the other one that's got the crosshairs, you know, you spin on that, it starts digging a hole. Eventually, it digs a hole deep enough that you can't bite it anymore. This seems to always work, even though I've only caught the edge of it. It'll do it, so. I I probably bought that at Woodcraft. I don't know where I got that at. Is that a step drive? It's just stem? Could be, I don't know. Okay. When I'm done here, I'll pass it around the room. So probably the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this down and get a tenon on here so I can flip it around. As fast as I can without vibration. Speed is my friend. Yeah, how fast will this thing go? Right now, I'm just lining this up center to center because I'm worried about getting a good chunk of wood on the bottom and on the top. If I had a lot of room to work here, like I had a wide area where I could move it back and forth, I would probably try to move it back this way so that I'm cutting in here more. Because I don't want to cut too much off the front here, I'm going to lose my hole. So that would be the only thing I might do, and as I start turning this, I still can fudge it maybe half an inch. So what I'll do is I'll start turning this and take a look at it, and then I'll decide if I need to move it or not. Yeah. So I'm gonna just kind of grind this whole side here, see what this looks like when I take off this, and start to see if I don't want to lose my negative space here that you guys can see from there. So. Like always start out as 0. Always. Okay, make sure you're going forward. Where's the return? There's forward. And I'm not getting very much at all here, and I'm already vibrating. So I'm going to take off some of this mass here. I just use my 5/8 bowl gouge for this. It's a lot of bark. I know, he was right on it. Yeah, where's that catcher's mitt? We had a catcher's mitt for the guy in the front row there. Yeah. Yeah.
You can move, George, don't say anything.
I would like to see the back of this before I turn my tenon. Because once I turn that tenon, I've committed myself. So I kind of want to see what the back of this looks like before I cut that tenon off. So, what's that? So, start over again here, let's. And this cut's pretty easy because it is bark. A lot of bark. See, now if I was at home doing this, I would have cut this a little straighter. I'd gone back to the bandsaw. So I've got full contact. I'm only contacting not even half of that drive, that spur drive or stub drive, whatever you call it. This is all gonna come off. The only sap that's gonna be left is what's around this opening here. No, this is all dry. But there's a lot of sap on this for cherry. You would think I'm turning pine. So let's see, I sure would like to see, I'm not really hitting here. I'm hitting on the side here, hitting inside there, but I'm not hitting the back here. So I think I'm going to bring this over just a little bit. We'll bring the front over just a little bit too. Just a little bit. I don't think I can go much more than that without losing my mass here. So now I'm looking here and I look like I'm about the same for 3/4 of this. From this side to that side, I'm close, and then I'm way in here. So that's where my hole is going to be used. Matter of fact, there's like a knot hole right in the middle of this that goes down to the core. So let's take a little more off this, and then we'll get a tenon on that and speed things up here. Yeah, I like this. Now I can feel I'm hitting the back side of that. Oops. Didn't mean to hit that. So now I've hit the back side of it. That's what I want. And I actually have a little sapwood here. So that's a good sign too that I'm gonna likely get through all this bark, but I do have a ring around here that almost looked like there might have been a barbed wire fence on that. I scanned this with a metal detector. There's no metal in there. But I did thought it was odd that there looked like there was maybe something wrapped around this tree at one point in time. So I'm hoping I get through here. I have wood there. I have this branch there. So hopefully that underneath this branch, there's enough solid to connect this back. Otherwise, there's not going to be much holding this thing together. So let's cut this down and get our tenon on there. And whoops. Where's my pencil? I find that if I lay my pencil here, and if I put it on edge this way, that's about the size of my of this 50mm jaws. I'm going to use carbide to cut this tenon. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little smaller, try to get more of that. Yeah, my lathe control is right there. You can tell that. I'm not raising my hand to talk. I got a hole here. I must have a soft spot here. Which way is it? I know. You know, when you're not using your own stuff, it's always a challenge to do something on not your things. So here we can pass that around the room. That really doesn't bother me that much. So let's turn this around. Let's see how close we are here to. I thought about that. I have like a pretty odd here. I looked at one at Ace Hardware the other day that had the little nub here and a straight one. I thought, boy, that might be handy, but I don't know if I need to tighten things that much on my chuck. So. Yeah, my tenon did not cut very straight here, but I'm not going to be doing too much that's not supported. I'm going to have my tailstock up for most of it, and then I'm going to put my live support on when I go and turn the rest, my steady rest. So let's so now here's our. Let's see how this looks. Okay, I like the way that looks. No. So what I'm going to do, I always like to cut my bottom on my vases first and figure out where my bottom's going to be, and then I'll cut the top. So. is a little more gnarly than I thought. I thought this would be greener. So this is roughly where my bottom's gonna be. So using my Fibonacci rule, which I'm a firm believer of, which basically cuts things into thirds, I'm gonna look at the top here, and if my bottom is here, my top is gonna be a little lower than this. That means this branch right there is gonna be the widest part of my vessel. It's gonna be the apex. From there, I'll start coming down. From here, I'm gonna swoop all the way down to the bottom. One nice curve. And I like this. I'm starting to get some solid wood in here below the bark. So that's gonna be desperately needed through this area here. I'm gonna need to get some sapwood in there to support the back of this vessel. So let's keep turning this until we get down to that point. We're all insured here. I still got a little ways to go here to get to, I want to get this solid through there and hopefully through here. Hopefully this bark is not too deep. So, but it's going to be a pretty piece of wood. I can see that. So. Okay, this piece is not green at all. This is pretty hard. This is pretty hard. 1,500 RPMs. And I got a dip here. You can probably see that right there, because there's all bark through here, and I still need to get, so I need to still get this down. I don't want to dip there. I want my high point to be here, so I've got to level this out still until I got solid. At least I got to get solid through this area here somewhere, because right now this is all bark. There's not much holding this together. This is going to be a long, thin vase. Okay, there's the one branch. And look at this, we got some solid come through here, and we got some solid come through there. So I think one more pass across that, and I'll have enough solid wood to hollow this thing out. And I'm still gonna have a hole through here. This will all be a hole. There'll probably end up being a hole back here between like these two spots if I don't hit something there. So, which is good. So now, let me refine my, let me find my high spot, high spot on my Fibonacci rule. Let's get the right way. So there's my bottom, there's my top, my high point is there. So let's see what that looks like going around here. I hit solid there, I got some solid here. Hopefully we'll clean this out because I can see that bark there is not very deep. So we're still gonna try and get through there. This is the hardest part about doing these vessels is I want one nice curve. And I still got a low spot here. I want one nice curve from my apex right here to the bottom. I don't want a flat spot. And you can always tell that. All you gotta do is run a ruler across it, and you can tell when you hit a flat spot right there. I can see light through there. Yeah, it's hard to see it there, but there's a flat spot right here. So I need to get this lower. I don't want to get this any lower. And I'm starting to see solid wood around here, so this is looking really good. So I just need to get this high spot here out. This is much wider than I want anyways. My bottom is gonna be probably 1.5 inches, so I probably still have another inch I can take off of this. Although my bottom's gonna be down here, I'm not gonna probably take off a lot of this mass till I'm done hollowing. I want this for support. So I'm not hollowing with just a little bit of piece down there that might have bark inclusion. So I'm probably not going to take much more of this out. Although I will, after I'm done hollowing, I'll flip it around and I'll take off the rest of this all the way down to the bottom. So let's readjust this. Get on center. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I want to get a really nice cut to the bottom there. Hopefully get most of those tool marks out. 1,600 RPMs. And I'm going to start where my low spot is. I got a low spot right here. So I'm going to start with that lowest spot. It's not that much lower, maybe a 32nd of an inch, and try to take this lump out. Try to cut is and here I got to keep my body swinging. Where my left hand and my right hand is, I got to keep swinging that out away from the lathe to keep this curve going. If I stop swinging, I'll start cutting straight, and I'll end up with a straight line. So as I go down, I'm turning more and I'm turning more, and I'm keeping this arc going to the point where I'm on almost one leg here. But it helps to make that curve by leaning into that. And that's a cut there that I can live with, because that's probably, I can start sanding that at 220. So that's good. It's always up here that there's always tool marks that I end up having to sand out. So right here, I'm going to double check me double check my high point one more time. You know, form, this is the most important part of any vessel, in my opinion, is form. If you don't get a good form on it, you don't get your high spot, the apex of your vessel right, it just doesn't look right. If you put it in the middle, a lot of people, like when I first started turning, I'd make the very middle, everything asymmetric, you know, everything's gotta be perfectly symmetric, and I'd get done and it looked like, it just didn't look right. Although I sanded, I had a nice piece of wood, and it wasn't until I took a class about the Fibonacci rule from the Kalamazoo group, from Ted down there. I have a whole new aspect on what, and once again, I can still see my mark through that knot. Right there's my high point. So I want everything down here. This is my high point. It's my 2/3 lark. And when I get done, the vessel, as long as I don't leave it really big here, because I want to do the same thing here, I want my end to be probably 1/3 of what this is. So everything's going to be kind of in thirds, or maybe 2/3, because I'm going to swoop down and I think I'm going to be able to do a fluted top. So my thickness of the flute is probably going to be 1/3 of this total diameter here. The thickness of my flute is going to be 2/3 of it. Everything's in thirds, and it all makes it look proportionally right when I'm done. My bottom is going to be small enough to fit into the top if I was to cut it off. I'd be able to cut it off and cork the top with it. So whatever my 1/3 hit is here, the bottom is going to be about 1/3 also. So everything's in proportions that way, and that's what makes it look right. If it doesn't look right, it doesn't matter how great of a turner you're on. If the form's wrong, there's just something wrong with it. You can't quite figure it out. You can't put your finger on it. So I have a lot of those vessels at home. The first couple of years I was making hollow forms, I just looked at them like I just couldn't figure out what was wrong with these vessels. Unfortunately, my wife has them and won't give them up. So I have to look at them every day. Walk around my house, look at all these vessels that I wished I knew how to turn them. So I think this is good here. I'm going to leave this mass on here. So now I'm going to turn my top. And I think I can do a flute. I'm going to cut this back a little bit here. I didn't bring my Japanese saw. But anyways, I'm going to cut this down and turn this back just a little bit and start making the top. So let's get in here with my my 1/2-inch bow gouge. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's cut our top. Slowly going through my bow gouges here because this is really kind of petrified. All this hard sap in there, I can feel it hitting my hands. So let's see, where's my high spot here? I want to make sure I don't touch the high spot. It's way down here. So okay, there's my high spot. Now I can see it. When I make this cut in here in these coves, as I get to the bottom, I drop my handle down so I'm coming higher and higher up on the edge until when I get to the middle, I kind of just come off. And it helps to blend it in. If I just come in straight, you kind of like exasperate the situation. You never get that middle. You keep coming back and coming back. So as I get to the middle, I drop my handle and I just kind of pull out of the cut. And I'll come back this way and do the same thing. Stop. So now it's a good time to look to see what I can't live with. I don't know if I like that. A little piece of wood there, I don't think I want any bark, any of that natural bark there from the original tree. I don't mind this here embedded bark, but I don't like that look. So I think I'm gonna take one more pass, make this just a little narrow and get that piece out of there. And I see I have a fairly deep tool mark there, so I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna change it up and get a new tool that's sharp here. See, now I can see a tool mark right there. You probably can't see that, but I can, so I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna get to my end spot here. I'm gonna end up here, so I wanna lean into this. This is very therapeutic, I think. Gotta be able to turn right and left-handed. If you can't do that, you gotta learn it. Because you save so much time. Otherwise, I'd be over here doing this. You know, you gotta be able to just flip it around and keep going. Why don't you shear scrape that, Doug? You know, every time I shear scrape something, I wish I wouldn't have done it. One thing nice about turning burls, there's really no up and down on the wood. Because it's all around, so I can almost go any direction on these and not worry about I'm going against the grain. And right now I'm just exasperating the situation here because I keep just cutting that a little deeper. So let's finish this. And call that good. There we go. Good. Okay, now let's see. The next thing I need to do. So I really like the way this is looking here. This is going to be a beautiful vase. We got a lot of nice grain in here. I don't mind that. Oh, I didn't take my pencil mark off there. Okay, I got to take one more pass and get that pencil mark off there. You know, I put this on by hand and I'm into the bark here. And I probably went deeper than what I can sand it. I'm going to end up taking out this bark. I'd rather do a clean cut with my with a gouge here, you know. Did I get it all? I've done this before, and I'm finishing it, and I see a pencil mark deep in the bark that I never saw beforehand. Of course, a lot of this bark's gonna come flying out when I hollow this. So, and I still have some of that bark there I thought I got, but I guess that's gonna stay there, because I'm not gonna go back and redo that. How much time do I got here, Dave? Okay, so now, just wipe it off. Good. So what was the two choices? Lacquer thinner or? Okay. You see, I use like acetone sometimes to clean things. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna put my steady rest on. This is Carter's steady rest. This is, to me, is like needed, 100% needed when doing a hollow form. I want that spin around there. Oh, I have a supporting rib right underneath there where I need to put this.
One big advantage to the Carter Steady Rest is it does come apart. And Doug could have actually taken it apart while the tailstock was still there, so the piece is always supported.
Yeah, this side here will unbolt and flip down so I could slide it in place. I never do that, but I might have done that once on something I did not want to pull the tailstock away. At this point, I could have slid my tailstock back up before I put that on there, but I'm pretty solid here. So now I'm going to, oh, these are all off because of, it's a different lathe. Shoot. Hopefully this is the right size. There's a toolbox in our room on the one shelf there. Grab a 7/16 wrench out of that for me, please. I want to be supported. Well, I'll put it wherever I have full contact. The other day I was turning one, and I had to put it way up here and kind of on their edge, which I didn't really like doing because it tends to wear out the edge of the wheels. So I like to get it wherever I can get a full contact all the way around. I got some bark here that I'm probably going to wear into a little bit, but it's still going to hold it good. And the closer that I get to the end of it, the better. And this is going to keep things from vibrating while I'm drilling my hole, while I'm turning. Because if you're vibrating, you're making tool marks inside your vessel, and you're causing, everything to come loose at that point. So that's the main purpose of this steady rest is and you can speed things along, you can go faster. Hopefully this is the right size. Yeah. So I kind of want to get these on. One of the things I didn't think about yesterday when I was setting this up, that these aren't going to line up. Kind of towards the bottom. And with Carter, you can buy additional rollers for these. I could add another arm in here. I could add 2 more arms. It's pretty flexible. I've always been happy with 3. Do they make a bigger one than this one? Well, how much is that steady rest thing? I don't remember.
It's made in two sizes. I'm not sure which one you've got, Doug. That looks like,
Apparently I got the smaller size. How much
Okay.
do these run, Ron? $400?
yeah, somewhere around there.
So basically I kind of put these in fairly tight. And then I kind of put friction on the wheel as I roll this and make sure there's no spots where it skips. That feels good, and that feels good. So I can live with that. So let's tighten these all down. So now I can start up. And I can see I'm still centered. So yeah, I can crank this up now and do my hollowing, my drilling, everything else that I need to do. And let's see, I can get a 1.5 inch drill bit in there and still have a lot of room on the edges. So I'm going to start out with a 1.5 inch here.
How are you extending that Forsberg bit any farther?
I'll show you that here. I'm going to do this at about 300 or 400 RPMs. I like carbide Flossner bits. They cut fast. They don't get hot. You can smell the cherry now. Whoops. And as long as the shavings are coming out, I'm just going to keep going. When they stop coming out, then I'm going to start slowing down on how fast I run this in there. So you can see it's steaming a little bit, but if that had been a regular Foster bit, this thing would be red hot. I wouldn't be able to get my hand even close to it. But this is hot, but it's not like boiling hot. That's one of the advantages of having carbide Fosters. They're not hot, yeah. I like 1.5 inch Fostner bit because that's how big this end is here. So it'll fit into the hole. So once it can't release the shavings, I only do 8 cranks at a time, which is 1/2 inch. If you do more than that, you're asking for trouble. So that's as far as I can go with this bit. Now to extend these, you can buy like extensions, which I've used. I've got a whole bunch of them at home that I've used. And here's a bit here. We were talking about turning oak earlier and having it turn your stuff black. This bit was all black I left it inside of an oak. I was hollowing, I went to lunch, came back, pulled it out, it was all black. That's how fast oak will turn everything you got, wherever the camera's at here. So let's see, let's crank this back. You see I got bark hanging here on the edge. Hopefully it'll stay there. So we're done with that piece, and now I'm going to use a Carter's strong bore. Fits right into your tailstock. Got an M2 on it. You can buy different extensions to get your length on these. So I'll put my so it's pretty solid. I really like it. No, because I buy all my drill bits have hex heads. I don't buy drill bits. I have some that are round and they're all just tore up so bad you can hardly use them anymore. So yeah, I make sure I buy all hex head carbide fasteners. So, because yeah, that turning in there, sometimes you don't get them back out again. They're permanent attached to the extension.
I think the name is Roman.
These are Romans, yeah, I buy them on Amazon.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah. And before I put that on there, I was gonna whack this in place. Hang on. Now, let's see, let's get a depth here. I'm gonna go that deep. So that means I have to go beyond, we'll have to measure it when we get there. I don't know if this is good for your tailstock or not, but I always whack those in there. Now sometimes if I'm doing a really large vessel and it's really deep, and like I'll start out with one size, and then as I go deeper, I'll reduce the size of this to help the shavings to get out of there and help keep it cool. But this one, we're probably gonna be a foot deep here, so we're still in there a little ways, but it's not so, I'm not worried about getting the shavings out. I'm 327 right now. I used to always try to do this like at 600-700 RPM. I found out later that it's just not good for it. Come on. A lot of times I'll put my lathe on I'll put my belt on the lower speeds to get more torque for doing this. Hit the end of it. I was seeing those at 4 1/4. I'm like, I don't think this one goes much more than 4 1/4. It's like I'm cutting, like going through bark down there or something. There's not much resistance towards the bottom there. Yeah. No, because it's too wobbly, and it won't track it straight. You know, you put it in your chuck, you get a really good start. So let's see, that's 9 1/4, which brings me right there, and I still want to go 2 more inches. So 2 more inches. No, I'll go deeper with the carbide, with my teardrop when I get to the bottom. You can tell it's getting to the bottom. For some reason, it always starts turning harder. It doesn't make any sense to me. But somehow it knows it's at the bottom and starts to tightening. And there I felt like I just went through something. There must be a big bark inclusion at the bottom there. Pardon me?
Isn't the base only going to the end where your cutter marks are though?
The very bottom is gonna be down here. I'm gonna drill to about here. But my bottom of my vase is gonna be down here somewhere.
When you measured your two-thirds, you measured from where your cut was.
I thought I measured it from here. So, can I get this back in there? See right there? I'm at the bottom here, and this is where my center was.
I thought you were ending your base right where you got it all taken down.
So what the? It's all soft down there, so whatever's down there is really soft. So I'm still an inch away from where I want to be. There must be a big bark inclusion down there. All right, that's good enough because it's really soft, so whatever it is down there, I'm gonna easily get through. Hey, you wanna back this off while I get my next thing going? Oh, yeah. So now I'm gonna go to my hollowing system, which is Carter's hollow roller. Yeah, back that off there. And then you can pull the tailstock off too, please. So I'm gonna start out with my tool rest. This is the tool rest for my hollow roller. I'm gonna start out with that at least 4 or 5 inches from the back of my vessel, and I'll show why here in a second. I always swing my banjo around to the opposite side here so that I can get into this side. Some people will lock their chuck down with the Allen wrench, turn it reverse so they can have it here and get in over here like that way. I just swing it around over onto this side, and I can come in this way and get this outside angle. So that's why I swung this around. Like we talked about earlier, I'm using the Carter's 1-inch bar. Their standard bar is 5/8 of an inch. This is only 3/8 bigger. When you're talking like the size of the hole and stuff, you might as well just go to the 1-inch and reduce all that vibration. So I have a teardrop cut, or not teardrop, I have just a flat carbide on there. Hey, maybe I'll put this here. Can you overhead? And let me see if I can get this out of the way. It's just a little carbide tip. So they also, there's lots of choices I could use right now. I used to use the teardrop for all this, but the last time I needed teardrops, they were hard to find. I think Ron was out, and I had to get them from Carter, and Carter wanted $50 a piece for their standard teardrop. And so I don't do this with teardrops anymore at $50 a piece because the standard one is slotted to slide on, as opposed to this just has a hole in it. So they're slotted, so they're more apt to break. This is the carbide teardrop. So this one just has a hole in the middle and doesn't have that slot, so it's not apt to break. I don't have to sharpen it as much. So I'll use this when I clean up, but right now I'm going to start out with with this one here. You can see it there. So
The reason we don't put a slot in that, it would create too much weakness in the carbide.
yeah. So now I can bring this up to the bottom here.
Is anyone else having trouble hearing?
Yes, he gets away from the mic and then we can't hear.
Yeah, it's hard to always be on that mic. I'll try to speak up. So right now I'm just getting my, my rest, the steady rest here up to the bottom of my bar. And the reason why I have my bar back this far is if you look at it from the front view, you can see this is cut away for the, if you get over here, can you see that? It's cut away down here for this tool. And I don't want that to go off my bar on that cutaway part. So I want to be able to get this hole in here and have the support without that. Then once I get in here farther where I don't have to worry about this cutaway hitting my support, I'll move everything all the way up as close as I can so I can get to the bottom with less vibration. So we're not level here. Got to hang on to everything. You're probably gonna want to get a look at my screen here because I'm doing this with a camera. Let me get this tape with all the marks on it from what I was doing earlier today. I use a camera system to do this. I have a camera up here on the top. It's a drone camera. It runs through and it runs into this screen here and it projects it onto it is projecting my tip here. You can see my hand there. Leave it where you had it there. It is projecting my tip here onto that camera. So wherever I go, the tip is there. So hang on, so what I'm going to do. I was looking at it yesterday at these stands, one of them is really low, one's really high, but at home I made sure my lathe is level so that it doesn't keep rolling off the back. Okay, I got it. So so what I got is I got just a piece of packing tape here. I'm going to put this over the screen where my tip is. So now I can draw on the screen without putting permanent marker on my screen. I can just peel that tape off when I want to move it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, because right now you see I got my tip on there, but once I go inside the vessel, I have no idea where it's at. You know, it's lost in there somewhere. So the idea here is I'm going to pull this out, get this where I can see it, and I'm going to draw that tip. And then I'm going to kind of draw where my bar is at so I get an idea what might be hanging me up. So there's my bar, there's kind of my tip here, this is the very end of my tip. So now, when I go inside there, I can kind of see where I'm at. I can see the angle of my bar, and I can cut from the inside out. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to cut this flute, and I'm going to figure out what thickness I want my whole vessel to be here. So. Yes. Once I get the thickness, then I'm going to write that on here. So I have a mark that I can use to get me all the way to the bottom. So let's. $1,200 RPMs. Well, yeah, I guess if you want to move that, you put it. So there's, I think right there's going to be the thickness I'm going to shoot for. Not real thin, but just maybe a quarter of an inch. I'm going to go for that for the whole thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my my tool there right on that thickness. Now go back to the camera over here. And I can see here, my tool's there. Here's my tool tip. Here's the thickness on my vase. So I'm going to draw a line here that I don't want to go any thinner than that. So that means as I'm turning, anytime this line gets to the outside of my vessel, I'm at my target thickness. So all the way down, that's gonna be my target thickness to the whole bottom. So now with that on there, I can just start hollowing this thing out. And I see my softener bit was just about that target. I don't have to take off much there. Somebody needs to go back to that compressor and open the top valve for the air. There's 2 of them. And what happens is right now I can't move my bar anymore towards me. It's all full of sawdust in there. So I got to get that sawdust out of there so I can keep going. Sorry, George. Got to blow it off everything here because I don't want that sawdust to get in these rollers. Because then I'll be sliding through and I'll have a hard spot, you know. So you got to blow it off everything. When I get to the point where I can't get any closer this way, I just keep digging out the hole where I can towards the bottom. Just to get that cut out later. So. Well, I don't know if it's going to help. This is really gnarly. I don't want to break my tip here. So, whoops, I never did tighten this down, did I? I did a really large hollow form not too long ago, and I broke 3 tips, 1 like that and 2 teardrops, trying to cut it. It was all super gnarly now on the inside, and so I'm a little gun shy now. I guess I don't. Well, when I do my teardrop, when I get down, I'm going to put a teardrop on here and do the final one. I'll crank it up higher than it is now. But right now, this is good enough. I'm filling it up so fast with sawdust that it's doing the job. Once I get to that opening, the sawdust is going to come out that way, and I won't have to stop so much. Can you not hear me? There we go. And this came loose, and let's blow this up first. See, now I'm getting up to this opening. Once I start opening this up, the sawdust is all gonna come out there. I won't have to stop and do this. At least not as often. This is holding my camera. My camera's mounted at the end and looking down here, and you can see the, so, and is that camera lost its focus? Sometimes you gotta stop and look at this to make sure it's all still in the same spot. It lost its focus, so let's refocus that. Okay. I can't get in there to get to that Allen wrench. I gotta loosen all this, but I need to move this anyways, I think, so. I'm gonna tighten it. Hey, that's a good idea. I think it's got a flat spot on it to keep it from turning. And what, oh, I'm hitting the bar down there again. So let's pull this back. Can you hold that? Yeah, mine at home is, I have that all cut to fit. So I think I need to roll this back down.
No, your steady rest is holding it.
Oh, you're right. Okay. I can't. The ribs on this are just kind of right in the way. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it around here. Well, I still gotta get it in there. There we go. Of course, now I don't have much. Now I don't have much room for my wrench. Oh, right on it, darn it. Yeah, well, my one at home has a cutoff wheel. I cut it off the fit. Yeah.
Well, I just think if it starts to, it's dirty though, right? I can move. Yeah. Can you take your shirt off and bring that screen?
Yeah, I was under the impression that this was green. I don't know why I thought that by looking at it, but it's obviously not green. Does that look like it's the right height there? I'd say that's pretty good. Hopefully we'll be able to get to the bottom after this.
Maybe a little bit low. It looks like it's
I'm
low center.
fine with a little low because this is high to start with, and I'm not gonna be able to get the bottom unless that's a little lower.
Okay.
There's a little less like after to bind. Yeah, I wouldn't try it, not this long. I would have done like 100mm tenon on there, but it's still, you would get vibration, you know, anytime you get over like 10 inches long, I want a steady rest. Okay. All right, let's get to the bottom of this. yeah, we got our hole started there. Little gnarly at the bottom there. I know, what's up with that? So is it less price now? It's got a hole in it? You know how many customers have asked me that? Is it cheaper because it has a hole in it? No, it's more. No, I do just like this. I have it hanging here. And, yeah, I haven't.
I saw somebody had, installed like an 8-inch air line. Right down by there, and they put like 4 or 5 cones on it, and just keep blowing the stuff out.
I've seen people do that. I haven't gotten that far. Because I still need to blow it off here and stuff, you know, it just. Yeah. Okay, that's almost to the bottom there. Now what I want to do is change my bid here. Let's pull this out. Set that there for now. Let me blow this out. So I'm a little thicker than I like. I'm not that thick up here, but I'm gonna go in with my teardrop now and smooth this off.
So a teardrop's more like a finisher then?
Yeah, yeah, it'll do a nice job finishing up. That thing's bent, I can't hang that on there. So let's see, I'm gonna put on the carbide tier bit right there. And Ron probably has those in stock, right? Carbide teardrops?
I have both the flat top, which I think you're using, Doug, and also a negative rake teardrop. And they're only $30. I've got a couple hundred of each.
Okay, that's a lot less than Carter.
Yes, it is.
Are you running a special, Ron?
Doug, what got you into doing the house?
I don't know, I just started doing it and I really enjoy it.
Somebody else do it, or did you?
Oh, I'm sure I saw somebody do it, yeah. I don't know, probably online. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody in person do one. Okay, so now, yeah, look to see how, what I can do, here, hold that handle up. What I can do now, here, change get your camera, I got this, change your camera to this one. Okay, so hold that up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna reposition this, move that over where I can see it. Okay, I can see it right there. I'm gonna put this back on there to line up with that piece. So now, this edge is still, this mark here's. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm moving that over here and I'm using the same piece of tape and I just lined it up so that this little line here is still my target thickness. So when I put that on here, it's just off the edge of my thing. So that's my target, is to have that line just inside the vessel. That's my finished target. So let me get my shield back on here. Okay, all right. So now, I'm up to about 1,500. I'm up to about 1,500 RPMs, and I'm going to kind of shear scrape this inside. I think my camera moved. Should be, hold that up. My camera moved just a little bit. So I'm going to reposition this.
back to where I think it should be. So let's double check it here.
That's what happens when you don't have enough sapwood, too much bark. So that's the end of this demo. Yeah. So Bruce, we're part of the same club. Bruce Dannenhauer. He knows what I'm talking about.
Hey
Welcome.
Doug, I have a question on the shear scraping.
Yeah.
When you said you were shear scraping, did you have the cutter edge slightly at a downward angle then, or was it,
No, it's flat.
it's flat? Okay.
You can buy a negative rake carbide. Ron has those. This is not one. Probably I might have gotten through that, but it was pretty gnarly in here. It's like I'm hitting something inside here that was really vibrating. I don't think so. I've never had I don't think it's sawdust. Usually it's a part like this, and if it's cracking and it's starting to expand because of centrifugal force, causes more vibration. And then you shut it off and you don't see it because it all went back. But there's a crack going all the way from top to bottom on this. That's probably what I was feeling in there. If I slowed it down some, it might not have done that. I don't know. There's lots of things you could have done, but this is the hazard of working with. This is what happens when you work with a burl. You don't know what you got. What's that? I could have done that. I brought along my tape to do it, but I guess I didn't see that was an issue. But I've done it before where I'll tape the whole thing, I used to always use that fiberglass tape, the packing tape with the fiber in it, but I can't find it anymore. My Ace Hardware doesn't have it. So I just started using just straight masking tape, and it works just fine. Like once I do 3 or 4 revolutions of masking tape, it's enough to hold it. So I guess we're on to raffle, huh, Dave? All right, let's move on to raffle here, and yeah.